On to some football. 10 years ago, just 13 years old, Nate Fakafua had a choice. Could he go back to L.A., to the streets of Los Angeles, remain homeless on the streets of Salt Lake City, or knock on the door of the Orchard family? Well, a good thing he chose the Orchards. There he found structure, discipline, faith, and family. It changed his life and put him on an unlikely path to stardom at Utah, and eventually, of course, the NFL. Now you know him as Nate Orchard. He changed his name to honor the family that believed in him and never gave up on him.
Nate learned at an early age just how to survive.
You know, I always kind of related to the Blind Side story. Dysfunctional, just bouncing all over the place, home to home, different family members, running the streets with my brother, doing who knows what.
How I met Nate was he was playing basketball. He and Sam became good friends on their basketball team together. This was back in 7th grade.
Dave, he didn't give up on me. He knew I had potential to do something great. I mean, he was there every day, picking me up, taking me to practice, giving me little pep talks, things like that. And I was always going through one ear out the other, like, whatever, this guy. And when the time came, it was like, I didn't want to move back. I knew he was one person I could rely on, and someone I trusted very much, and so I went to him.
I was out in the garden in the front yard, and I just saw him coming down the street, and he was wearing his uniform from the basketball team. And I thought, what is he doing here?
Random kid off the street who comes knocking on the door and asks, hey, will you please take me in? Through a couple yeses and nos, they finally, gave in and took me in.
From day one, all of our kids loved him.
Just the structure, I think, was a big adjustment for him. And then I think he'd seen so much more of life than the kids he was the same age as in the neighborhood.
You had a curfew, you had to be in. And initially, that was really, really difficult because he had never, had anything like that. He would, do whatever he wanted to do.
Well, we don't really know if he's here for a week, a year, or for good.
There were so many times where I was a knucklehead, and I'm surprised they didn't give up on me. Because I was that kid where, I wanted to go back to my mom, so I ran away multiple times. And you have Dave and Catherine out there chasing after me, trying to find me.
There were a few times when we left, and our kids were devastated when he wasn't here. So he's just part of our family.
They never gave up, and I'm glad they didn't, because who knows where I'd be today.
5 minutes before kickoff, best time in life, I promise you this.
He had amazing coaches who mentored him and cared about him and didn't let him get away with nonsense. But at the same time, they loved him and just were always there for him. I mean, there'll be people that are in his life forever.
Brody was a father figure all the way and still is to this day.
Senior year, July, so we're going into our 3-day camp. He comes into my office and he told me, kind of matter-of-factly, that he wasn't going to be at camp. He was going to a basketball tournament in Minnesota. I just told him that, he was going to be at camp. And he kind of blew up. He made the comment, there was nothing that he was going to learn at camp that he didn't already know. And, at that moment, I kind of just said, you're right. You're a very gifted athlete, and there's not too many on our team that can rival what you can do. But, it's more about, what the 75 guys on the other side are seeing if you're not there. We had a couple choice words, and he told me he quit. And, I told him to go grab his helmet and shoulder pads and bring him back, and he did. He threw them by my office. Showed up Monday morning, and his pads were still there. Came out and set up the field and walked back inside, and his pads were gone. And he was, visibly upset. I could tell, just by his body language that he was upset. But, from that moment on, I've never had a kid grow up more and really put the team first.
I'm just happy to have had someone like that where I was going through my ups and downs in high school, who didn't give up on me and was there for me through thick and thin.
We did it. We worked hard all off season, and it paid off. Just to do it, back to back in both sports to show how great this community is to us.
Oh, it was an incredible year. It was so fun. Make it to the state championship, and then that dramatic end.
Championship game, Mountain Crest, a game that I'll remember forever.
He was unreal. There was no way he was going to let that game get away. He wanted it as bad for himself as he did for everybody else.
How many kids get that opportunity? And I got 2 in 1 year.
And then going on to the basketball, to the same thing again. Nate and Sam playing together was a lot of fun.
That's something I look back to this day, and you know, I miss my buddies and the ride that we had, and I'm just glad we went out with a bang.
Just incredible athlete. I mean, you could tell right away that this kid was different than the other kids.
What did Kyle Whittingham see in you as a 195-pound wide receiver that...
To this day, I don't know. I don't know how he knew that I could be a defensive end star, and if I just put on 40 pounds, that I could make things happen.
He embraced the opportunity to be defensive end, and he never one time complained or said, "Hey, can I try something else?" He was all in from the very beginning, and you know the rest is history.
That's a guy that can change a game.
Coach Witt knew that if I wanted to make to the NFL, that I needed to put on some weight, and so I believed in him, and he was right.
Welcome to Sac Lake City. Orchard didn't let him get away.
A leader for us. He was maybe the team leader. To see all that come together was rewarding.
Orchard got him again.
I really think the turning point for him was when he got married and had Catherine. It just gave him this whole new level of motivation.
He married a wonderful gal who was his high school sweetheart. She is his rock.
Just being married really allowed me to settle down, get my priorities straight, and understand that, okay, if I really want to make it to the next level, I made it to college, but if I want to make it to the NFL, I got to let everything go and focus on finishing up school, graduating, and being the best athlete I could be on the field.
The Cleveland Browns select Nate Orchard.
What would 12-year-old Nate think seeing you married with the child, your father, and you're getting drafted in the NFL?
I would think that's a joke. Like, there's no way that's going to happen. You know, given the circumstances that I grew up in.
From where Nate came from to where he is now is just incredible.
It's amazing. We're just so happy that not only did he become an amazing person, but he was able to be so successful.
Here comes the rookie out of Utah.
He's our boy, and we're proud of him. And it's fun to see that name on the back of that jersey.
What was it like walking on that NFL field wearing a Cleveland Browns jersey?
Oh, it was wild. Coming out of that tunnel, I tell you, they had the flames burning up, and there was all this crazy stuff. But it's definitely a memorable feeling. But myself and being who I am, just passionate and competitive, I want more. You know, I want to be great. I mean, so many people say, you know, oh, he could be a bust, he could be a boom, all this stuff. Like, I just want to prove people wrong.
Well, he's certainly done that. Now he wants to do it in the NFL. Nate was hoping this would be a breakout season for him, but the Browns as well, but a high ankle sprain. It landed him on the injured list in September, so that's a little bit on hold until
What a story. What a story.
Yeah, it looks just like The Blind Side, like you said. I mean, but it's funny how there's a lot of kids out there who have similar circumstances. Don't give up on these kids.
That's
you never
incredible.
know.
It's incredible.